At BWF Solicitors, we take pride in our client service. As a niche law practice, we are conscious of the demands of our clients. We always offer a friendly, listening ear and sympathetic attitude. We've worked with thousands of people all across the UK in all areas of personal legal services. We have received great feedback and reviews from our clients. We are located at Seven Sisters in Tottenham on the 4th floor of the Anna House, right on top of the Victoria Line train station for your utmost convenience. We have a friendly office and provide all of the refreshments necessary while you wait to see a lawyer. We are dedicated to our clients and have a successful record of serving our clients. Solicitors of England and Wales are of high quality and are bound by the highest professional standards. We are officers of the court and are bound by standards of integrity, competence and conduct as part of our responsibility to uphold rule of law. Our solicitors and lawyers care about your case and are committed to providing the best possible service to you in the most considerate and careful manner. We hold 2 Law Society quality marks. Law Society accreditation helps to demonstrate that we have attained the requisite standard in the area of law and have the requisite expertise. BWF Solicitors, we're here to help you with your legal services when you need us.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to Heritage TV, and the program is Hanging Out with VK. This morning, or this afternoon, I should say, is our legal hour with our legal company, BWF Solicitors. Today, we'll be discussing registering your child as British. It's such a topic that a lot of people are asking so many questions on, and we've decided that today to touch on this topic. So, as usual, we have with us our faithful lawyer, Eunice Achampong. Lawyer Eunice? Hi.
Hello, Vicky.
Yeah. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us at Heritage TV.
Thank you too. You look lovely. You look very, very lovely.
You too. You also look mwah. Yes. Like,
Hope your week has been
good. Yeah. By popular request, as you know, people have been asking, how do I register my child as British? So today you decided to do justice to this topic. So to start with, what makes what do you have to look at? Is it when you have your child, then your child is given the the British citizenship? Is it straight like as compared to America in the US?
I think a lot of the time, a lot of people would assume that if I give birth to my child, because I've given birth to my child in the UK, then it has to be automatic. And when you look at our British Nationality Act 1981, it would have different sections to it. So you obviously have registration for children, and then you have the naturalization for adults. And most of it will touch on children who are minors or children under the age of 18. And our British Nationality Act doesn't transfer an automatic right unless the parent is either British or settled in the UK. So if either parent is not British or settled, that child cannot automatically become British just because they were born in the UK. It's unlike America, where as soon as the child is born, then it means that the child has
Yeah.
that automatic citizenship. Yeah. So
Mm,
that's
mm.
one of the
Okay.
main differences
Mm, mm, mm.
between
Yeah.
America
Mm.
and the UK. Yeah.
Okay. I've got someone who sent a similar question to what you've just explained to us, but still I will put that question across.
Mm.
It's saying that I am pregnant, and what did he say? He said I'm pregnant and only came to the UK a few months ago. I want to
Mm.
know if I can apply for child British passport once I have given birth. Meaning the person came into the country pregnant a few months ago, wants to know
Mm.
when she has the child, will be straight away given a British
That's
passport.
passport.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like you're
So
saying,
this question has different parts to it as well. So I think
mm,
obviously what she wants to know is, now that I have this child, can this child be automatically British? And how can I get my child to be British, basically? So, as I
mm,
explained before, unless the father of that child is either British or settled, so settled means that they probably have indefinite leave to remain or permanent residence as
mm,
under the EA regulations, and so therefore they can then register. I mean, they can automatically say that that child is British because that child's father is settled or has indefinite leave to remain or is British before the child was given birth to. In
okay,
that case, once she gives birth to the child will also become British. But in a case, for instance, where the child's father is not British, and then I'm assuming that the mother also hasn't got settlement or is not British, then the other way that the child can then become British is if that child has lived in this country for a consistent period of 10 years. So, under Section 1(4) of our British Nationality Act, if the
okay,
child has spent the first 10 years of their life in the UK, then that child can register to be British. So, they're not automatically British as they would have been if the father was British or settled in the UK, but now they will have to register and then they'll be given a certificate. And once they are given a certificate, then they can apply for the British passport. So the certificate is
oh,
what
okay,
makes them British. It's not necessarily the passport that they have. So once
right.
they register and they're granted the certificate, that is what makes the child British, as we would call it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. How about a scenario whereby a couple who have indefinite leave to remain for 10 years now, and they have three
Mm,
children, 18 years, and above. How can
mm.
they register those children as British?
Okay. So, in a scenario where the father and the mother are also looking to have the children registered,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the parents now have their settlement or indefinite leave, as you would call it. And usually, in such a case, if the children were born in the UK, you would say that those children obviously have lived here for a consistent period of time. So, if, for instance, the father or the mother was not settled before they had the children, then
Mm-hmm.
obviously the children will now have to register to be British. Whereas if, for instance, the parents were settled and they hadn't had those children, so for instance, the children were born after the parents had settlements or after the parents had indefinite leave to remain, then that would mean that the children will automatically be British. But in a case where, for instance, the children were born and then after the children were born, the parents now had their indefinite leave or their settlement status in the UK, that would mean that the children will now have to register to become British. So if the child was born in the UK or the children were born in the UK, that would mean that the children will now have to register under Section 1.4, show that for the first 10 years of their life, from 0 to 10 years old, they were living in the UK and haven't been absent for a period of 6 months in each given year, then
Okay.
they can register to be British. So they have to show that they've lived there for that 10-year period and that they haven't been absent for 6 months during each 1 year period that they are showing that they've lived in the UK. So if, for instance, you had a child in the UK and then you traveled um, with the child because you didn't have citizenship and you thought life in the UK is hard, you take your child back to Ghana with you, and for some reason you think, okay, I want to come back. Is my child British just because I gave birth to this child in the UK? No, your child is not automatically British just because you gave birth
Okay.
to that child in the
Okay.
UK. If you return with that child, obviously that child will also have to go through the immigration route. It will not be a case where the child will be just given citizenship or automatically granted citizenship. So the child will have to show that they have lived there for that 10-year period. So even if they haven't um, registered the child as a minor, in at the time the child is 18 or 20 or whatever age, they can still register that child to be a British citizen if they can show that the first 10 years of that child's life was whilst they were in the UK.
Okay. Lawyer Eunice, talking about children who are 18 years and above, what I want
Mm,
to find out from you is, can a child who is 18 and above
mm.
independently apply for, a British passport because the child is 18? Can they do it by themselves on their own without the involvement of parents?
So usually, I'm assuming that because the child has indefinite leave to remain, that maybe that child may be able to do it. In this case scenario, for instance, where they become adults and they no longer probably live with their parents, if
Yeah.
they can show that they were born in the UK, they can do it independent of their parents because they were born in the UK anyway. So they can show that,
Okay.
oh, yes, I was born here. This is my red book. This is letters from my school. Everything is there to show that I was in the UK for the first 10 years of my life. But if, for
Mm,
instance, they've just come from any country outside the UK and then
okay.
they want to register, or should I say apply for citizenship, then if the child is over the age of 18, I'm assuming that probably they have come through their parents. And so if they've come through their parents, probably they may be wanting to register as a British citizen because maybe they've got indefinite leave to remain or they've got some sort of settled status. And in that case, if a child was probably under the age of 13, then they will be looking to have lived here for at least 2 years before they can then register to be British under Section 3.1, or they will naturalize if they are over the age of 18 to be British, and they will have to show that
Okay.
qualifying period of 5 years, where they will have to
Okay.
obviously show that
Right.
they've lived in this country for a period of 5 years
Okay.
before they can naturalize as a British citizen. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Um, Let me get back to our viewers just to inform you that you can send in your questions to us via all our social media handles. You can send us any question via Facebook and all social media handles. If you want to call us, you can also call us on our studio line 0330 1139498. The number again is 033 011-39498. The second number is 0203-9833-553. The number again is 0203-9833-553. 558. We would like to hear from you. I've received so many questions, and I believe that more people would want to send in their questions because of the requests that I received last week. So please, 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 we would like to hear from you. Yes, back to Lawyer Eunice. Lawyer Eunice, there is this question also coming. This viewer is saying, I brought my son from Zimbabwe when he was 12 years old. He was granted indefinite leave to enter, and I want to find out if I can apply, as I have made an application to naturalize as British citizen. Lawyer Eunice.
Okay. So in a case like this, you are looking at the fact that the child's parent is also naturalizing to become British. And then they're saying that their child was brought here when they were age 12. We don't know how old the child is now, but I'm assuming that they are now over the age of 12. So in a case like this, you are looking at registering the child as British under Section 3(1), which is a discretion for the Secretary of State. So it's not
Okay.
an automatic, should I say, right to be given that British citizenship because the
All
father is
right.
now naturalizing. So this child now will also have to register to become British because, first of all, I'm assuming that the child was brought here because he had been granted indefinite leave to remain. If the father had settlement before the child was born, then in this case we'll be saying that the child is British. But I'm assuming that maybe because the father hasn't stated that the child has British citizenship or that he had settlement before the child was born, then this child will also have to register. So in a scenario like this, if the child is registering, the Secretary of State under Section 3(1) will be looking at a number of different factors. They'll be looking at whether the child's intention is to remain in the UK, to make the UK their home. They'll be looking at whether this child's parent or parents are settled or have British citizenship. In this case, the child's father is now applying for naturalization as we know it. They'll be looking at whether this child is also has lived here for a certain period of time. In a case where the child is under the age of 13, the guidance states that they will not have to particularly pay attention to that residence of the child. But where the child is 13 and above, they will have to look at whether that child has lived here for a period of at least 2 years. So this child has entered with indefinite leave to remain and now wants to register as a British citizen. So has this child lived here for a period of 2 years or more if they are over the age of 13? If the child has lived here for a period of 2 years or more, then it's likely that this child is going to get the registration done just as the father is also applying for naturalization because they are looking
Okay.
at factors that the parents also may be settled, the parents also may have British citizenship. They're looking at the fact that the child's intention is to live in the UK and make the UK their home. I mean, if the child has spent a lot of time within that 2 years period outside the UK, it might raise factors that the child may not intend to make the UK their home. So, as much as possible, you want to make sure that the child is in school, the child also has other community or other extracurricular stuff that they are
Mm.
doing as well. You want to make sure that the child is spending more time here in the UK so that when they are now applying to register, they are looking at the fact that okay, everything seems okay in terms of the evidence that they've provided for registration. And obviously, if the parent is now naturalizing, you can add a copy of the application reference number
Okay.
if you're registering for that child as well, so that they can
Mm.
consider the child's application in line with the parent's application as well. Where the child is 16 or over before they entered the UK, for instance, then that becomes difficult. Usually, they would say that 2 years is not sufficient period for the child to make the UK their intended home. And so, if the child is 16 before they enter the UK, then it would mean that once the child has obviously reached the age of 18, they would also be seen as an adult. And if they are going to be seen as an adult, then it means that
Okay.
they have to have that qualifying period of 5 years, as any adult will apply for naturalization. And once they've attained that qualifying period of 5 years, they can then put in an application for naturalization as an adult. But there are also other factors that they would consider. So if for any reason they believe that the whole family is British and this child, yes, we can see that he's 16 and over, he may have just lived here for a period of 2 years, then they're looking at compelling factors. Maybe the whole family is British, it's just this child who hasn't been registered as British, and they can see that the school he's very much involved in college or sixth form. He's doing other things and he's aspiring to go into
Yeah.
university to do a professional course, and he needs that to also be able to go into university, knowing fully well
Yeah.
that he wouldn't have to pay any extra fees, because when it comes to student finance, there's a whole different criteria to that as well. So there
Okay.
might be compelling factors that will make them also consider a child who is 16 or over if they enter the UK at that age. So in terms of whether they can register that child, yes, definitely they can register that child to be British. It's just that they wouldn't automatically make the child British because the child's parent is British. And so the registration will be done under Section 3(1) of the British Nationality Act 1981.
1991. Okay. All right. How about a scenario whereby um a parent naturalized as British citizen in 1995, and this parent traveled to Togo some time back, had a child there who was born on the 5th of November 2002. Can this
Mm.
parent call their child British?
So in a scenario like that, that is a lot of should I say scenarios
Okay,
in
should I
one
go through
question.
again or you've got it?
Yes, please. If you can go
Yes.
through that one more time.
Okay. All right. Okay. So the parent naturalized as a British citizen in 1995.
Yeah.
Yep. Then traveled to Togo some time back, and whilst in Togo, had a child there who was born on the 5th of November 2002.
Okay. Okay.
Oh no. Okay, I think I'm getting confused here. Having the
Okay.
child in Togo in November 5th, 2002, does it make the child a a British? Or I'm getting it's I think the question is I think when the parent came back to the UK, had the child on the 5th of November 2002. So they are asking automatically whether the child is British. I think that is what it's trying to say.
Okay. So let's look at it in both ways then.
Both
So
ways. That
if,
would be
for
great.
instance,
That would be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if, for instance, he had the child in the UK, so he went to Togo, he lived in Togo, and then he's now come back to the UK and he's now had a child in October 2002. It doesn't say whether he's married or not
Or
to
not.
this child's
Hmm.
mother. Yes, to this child's mother. So in a case like this, obviously we know that once a child is born in the UK, if before the child was born, if that child had a father or a mother who was settled in the UK, then that would
Right.
mean that that child is British just because of the fact that that parent was settled or that parent was
Settled.
British.
Yeah.
Yes, or British. So in that case, we know that that child could be automatically British because before they were born, their father or their mother was British.
What's a
But
British?
if we're
Yes.
looking at it on the other side, where, for instance, he went to Togo and the father found out that he's had, should I say, an affair with somebody and it's ended up or resulted in a child being born, then usually you will have to look at whether that father can transfer his citizenship onto his child.
Mm,
And so
mm,
this is what we call British citizenship by descent. So the father
descent.
may have, yeah, naturalized as a British citizen and is now passing on that citizenship to that child. And for a child who was born outside the UK, you will be looking at Section 2(1) of the British Nationality Act. And in that case, you are saying to the Secretary of State of the Home Office that this child was born outside of the UK. I would like to register this child as a citizenship by descent. But what has happened since 2006 is that um, the Secretary of State saw that a lot of our children who were born before 1959 had issues because there was a time where a lot of children who were born out of wedlock were viewed in Britain as bastard children, or they were
Yes.
viewed, yeah, to be illegitimate children. And so
Yeah.
you're a young girl, you have a baby, you go to the hospital, they tell you you can't have this child, you have to give this child up for adoption. And
Yeah.
so it became an issue. A lot of children, British children, will tell you, yes, I didn't have a biological mother, but my mom brought me up, and they didn't know how to then register these children as British, and it became an issue. So from October 1959, they changed the law such that it will give right to these children to be registered as British,
Okay.
where, for instance, their parents were not married. And in the case where a parent was not married, or the child was born out of wedlock, it will just consider the factors that if the child's parents were free to be married, let's say at that time, but they were not married, then it will legitimize, or it will cause that child to be seen as a legitimate
A
child,
legitimate
and
child.
therefore, yes, therefore they could be registered as a British citizen if their father or their mother is a British citizen. So, in the case where
Mm.
the child was born in Togo and this child has now um, obviously been brought up maybe out of wedlock, then this child is basically going to have to come to the attention of the Secretary of State, and this child is going to be looked at or assessed based on this um, criteria that she is a legitimate child. And if she is a legitimate child, one of the interesting things is that once you are able to show that the child's father is British, or he's registered on the child's birth certificate, or the child has provided some sort of DNA to prove that their father is Mr. So and so, then they would now assess the child as a child who is legitimate. But this was obviously before the 2006 July alteration to the British Nationality Rules, or should I say the British Nationality Act. So if
Mm.
any child at this time is born out of wedlock, they're not going to consider anything. But as long as the child was born before 2006 July, they will have to consider legitimizing that child in order to register that child as British um, for the purpose of the British Nationality Act. So, because that child was
Mm.
born in 2002, they will have to assess these things and legitimize that child. before the child can be registered as British and then go on to apply for their passport. So it's
Oh, okay.
important that we
Okay.
know this before, obviously, you make an application for passport and you're thinking, oh, I'm British, my child is automatically British. But because of this, should I say, issue of legitimizing a child who is born out of marriage, then you will have to let them assess that child as a legitimate child before they can be registered as British or they become a British citizen. Yeah,
Oh, great, great. Whilst
yeah,
we're talking about this topic, something just um, came on my mind. When our kids
yeah,
are in secondary school, sometimes, especially for those parents who don't usually travel outside the country, so
mm,
probably it might be an oversight. They never, thought of, oh, I have to get passports for my children. Now, when the kids
mm,
are in secondary school, they go on
mm,
trips abroad.
mm,
Then, when they get letters that, your child is to go for that trip, then you start
yeah,
looking around. Oh, my child's passport. How do I go about
yeah,
it? And it's so stressful.
yeah,
So
yeah,
stressful. So why do you wait till your child is
yeah.
in secondary school and there's a request, for them
It's,
to go on a school trip?
I think sometimes it's to do with not knowing. I think
Okay.
a lot of the time people haven't got the information and they don't know where to look for the information.
Please, can you
And
talk
so
to
because
those parents for me? Please.
so because they don't know where to look for the information, they leave it and then they are found wanting because they're thinking, oh my goodness, what do I now do? So if you are a parent and as Vicky has described, you are in this situation where your child is in secondary school and now your the child's teacher or the child's school
The
has written
school.
to you and said, well, we have this trip in August, and will your child be able to come on this trip
Oh,
next August?
eh?
Maybe France. Maybe France or some other European country
Exactly.
like
Exchange
Spain
program.
or
Exchange
yes,
program.
exchange program, yes, or Spain or whichever country that the
Yeah.
school has put down there. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, how do I then get my child to go? If your child has no legal status whatsoever, that is a different scenario. So
Scenario.
let's say you've given birth to this child, you haven't got any legal status, and the child also hasn't got any legal status. You haven't even thought about um, doing any applications for this child. But thankfully, because this child is in secondary school, I'm assuming that this
School.
child is over the age of 10. And if this child
Yes.
is over the age of 10, is not a genius kind of child, then you can apply to register this child as British. So in this scenario, you're saying that this child has lived here 10 years of their life, and you
Mm.
have to do it quickly so that you can then apply for the passport. So you register this
Yes.
child on Form MN1. Once you've registered this child saying that this child is British, sorry, from T. From T
Yeah.
is for those that have lived here for a period of 10 years, I mean, once they were born. So Form T is the form that you'll be filling to say that this child has lived here for the first 10 years of their life, and now I want to register them as British. So once they are registered, then they will be given a certificate. And I mean, within 8 to 12 weeks, they should be able to bring a decision in regards to this application. And then you can use the certificate as a means of applying for a British passport for this child. So if you are in that scenario and you have no status and this child you don't have a clue what you're going to do, there's a way out for this child. This child can definitely fill in the Form T and then register to be British. Once they've got the certificate, you can apply for a
Okay.
passport for this child. So don't be
Okay.
found wanting. You can definitely do this for this child. Yes.
Okay. Or else your child will be left behind, and that will not be
Behind,
good at all.
and I think
Oh,
the child will obviously be asking you, why wasn't I able to go for this
to
trip?
go for this trip. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
good to inform so that at least parents who are thinking, oh, I haven't got any legal status and I don't know what my child will do, please, it doesn't matter that your child may not have any
Doesn't.
legal status. Register the child to be British if they are above the age of 10. You can do
Yeah.
it as soon as possible. Yes.
Great. 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 Yes, Lawyer Eunice. Okay. The next scenario is when the parent is British but went to live in Nigeria for about 3 years. And okay, this a gentleman saying he's British. He went to Nigeria to live there for 3 years, met this lovely lady, and he had 2 children with this lady. They later decided to marry. How does he bring his wife and other children to the UK?
Okay. So in a scenario like this, I'm sure that once he went, obviously, he didn't think that he was going to come back with a family, but he's now got a
Exactly.
family of
Exactly.
of 2.
Yeah.
He's got a family of 2, and now he wants the children to join him and his wife as well. So in a case like this, the children, because he's already British, the children will also be British by descent. So he's passing on his citizenship onto his children. And because
Okay.
it's an automatic right, so because he had the children after, I mean, before he was British, or should I say, before he naturalized, he had the children, or should I say, I'm confusing myself. Once he
Okay.
had the children,
Children.
he was British. So because he was already British, it's an automatic right that he has
Yes.
that he can give to the children. So he's going to register these children as British by descent. So these
By
children will
descent, yeah.
automatically be British. He can apply for a passport directly from Nigeria for these children, and then they can use
Okay.
that to enter the UK. So because they are
Right.
British, the mother will also have to apply for leave to enter. So the mother through this route will apply for leave to enter the UK, whereas the children will have British passports applied for overseas. So this is an overseas British passport application, and usually in this case, the husband will need his citizenship.
Okay.
He'll need to show by way of his naturalization certificate. If he
Okay.
has the children's birth cert, he will show that as well to show that he is the father of the children. He will also show that obviously he's been British and he's previously lived in Britain, and he now wants to apply for his children to become British. And once they've assessed that the children are his children, then they would obviously grant the children their British passports because they are automatically British. And then they can
Okay.
obviously join him in the UK whilst their mother applies for leave to enter the United Kingdom.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Brilliant. Brilliant. Brilliant.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think I've got another question. The lady is saying that my husband and I are British citizens and have decided to adopt a child from outside UK. Will the child be British automatically if you are adopting that child?
So, in a case where both parents are British and you want to adopt outside of the UK, usually you will go through the adoption process here in the UK and outside as well. And if that country where the child is being adopted from is a signatory to the Hague Convention, then it would mean that because the UK is also a signatory to the Hague Convention, which is a convention that allows, should I say, other countries all over the world to be signatories to the fact that they would go by the world's framework, legal framework of adoptions, then
Yeah.
it means that these countries who have decided to form this alliance and to go by this legal framework all are signatories to this Hague Convention, UN Hague Convention, and therefore
Okay.
those countries will be recognized by each other. So if the
Okay.
country that this person is going to adopt from has all these signatories to say that, oh yes, we are part of the Hague Convention, we want obviously to adopt this child from this country, then the the fact that they're signatory to the Hague Convention would mean that once the child is adopted by these parents, that child can then have automatic citizenship because their parents are British citizens. If for some reason the country where they are going to adopt this child from is not a signatory to the Hague Convention, so let's say that the um, country they are going to adopt from is, let's say, Ghana, and in Ghana we were not signatories until recently in 2017 that we became signatories again to the UN Convention or the
Yeah.
Hague Convention. So before that time, when we were not part, doesn't mean that all those adoptions were not recognized. No. So the UK in itself had a designated um, adoption, inter-country adoption order, where it had certain signatories to that adoption order. So there were certain countries under that signatory, and Ghana was one of those countries that
Okay.
came under the inter-country adoption order, and therefore any adoptions before, let's say, the time we became signatories to the Hague
Mm.
Convention was recognized by the UK. And so because we were under this signatory, that means that then this child who was then adopted will have to be seen as an adopted child who is recognized under this adoption order in order for that child to be registered, or should I say, to be automatically British because their parents are also British. So, in such a case, if the adoption is recognized either under the Hague Convention or they were seen to be recognized under the intercountry adoption order, then the child will also be automatically British because of the fact that their adoption is recognized and their parents are also
Okay.
British citizens. Yeah,
Mm, 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 mm. Oh, great,
yeah.
great, great, great. My final question, Lawyer Eunice, if you can
Yes.
take us through the process. Does it
Mm,
take long to process this? Is there a time frame? And how is
mm.
the process like? What documents do you have to put together before someone comes to see you to put in the application on their behalf?
Okay, so if we are looking at a registration for a child, for instance, whose parents became settled or whose parent became British after the child was born, then usually you're looking to register this child because now you've become a settled parent. So in this case, you are saying to yourself, you are bringing the child's birth cert, you are bringing your own um, indefinite leave to remain biometric card, or if it's in your passport, your own passport. And then you also need to bring along anything that shows that this child has been living here in the UK. So, for instance, this child is now 3 because you've now become a settled person or you've now become a British citizen. So you are going to bring along some sort of school letter, maybe
Okay.
GP letters, or the child's red book to show that, of course, the child was born here in the UK and the child has been residing here with you in the UK. Usually, on the forms, they will require the consent of both parents. So they would need both parents to show that they've consented to the child, but it's not
Yeah.
mandatory. So if one parent can sign and say, "Oh yes, this is my child, and I consent for that child to be registered as British," then that's fine. The application will also come with a fee of £1,012, and then you can send off the application. In terms of a child who I was explaining before has lived here the first 10 years of their life, they can make the application either as a child or as an adult. So they can fill in the Form C online, just like most of the other forms, which are online. And then they will add documentation such as their birth cert, their parents' immigration
Okay.
status in the UK, whether it's indefinite or British.
Okay.
And then they will include the fact that they have lived here for the first 10 years of their
10
life. So
years.
school letters, British book, um, sorry, when I say British book, I meant the red book.
The red book. Okay.
So the red book, which shows their personal health records, their
Mm,
inoculations, their
mm,
development, and all of that.
mm.
That is what they will
With the
include
with the
with
with
the.
the GP with the red book, do you still have to get a letter from the GP stating that you are registered there, or the red book is enough when it comes to
Usually, the red book will only
GP?
cover a few years. Sometimes when you take it to the child's inoculations, I think, well, my eldest daughter is only 3, so after the age of 3, I know that they will be putting their, what do you call it, their
Immunization
signatory,
report and things like that.
yes, in there. But if you don't have anything beyond maybe the first 4 years or 5 years of the child's
Okay.
life, then definitely you
Okay.
obviously need to request a letter from the GP as additional records to show that this child
Okay.
has lived here for this number of years. And usually the GP records are very succinct and detailed, so it would show clearly that this child has been living here. And then the school letters as well. School letters will
Okay.
always show that the
Okay.
child has enrolled in school from this year to that year. And so that's also something that you can rely on, school letters. And I think that once you are able to gather enough letters from the school to say the child was registered from this year to that year, and you've got your GP letters as well, you can make the application for the child to be registered as British. And then, in a case, for instance, where the child was born outside of the UK, and then the father or the mother of this child wants to register this child because they are naturalized or they are British themselves, then that would mean that they will need to fill in an overseas passport application form. So in that
Right.
case, you go online, you print out the OVS form. It's an overseas passport application, and then
Okay.
they would obviously it's like a 4-page form. It's
Okay.
not too much. It's a simple form, and then you fill that in. It is posted, and then you'd have your biometrics taken in whichever country that the child is in. Once the
Okay.
biometric has been taken, then it will be processed. It takes a while though, because it's a direct passport application, and
Okay.
they may request for a lot of documents.
Okay. Okay. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to take a little break. Get an advert from our sponsors, BWF Solicitors. I'll be right back.
Don't be worried if it's taking too long.
At BWF Solicitors, we take pride in our client service. As a niche law practice, we are conscious of the demands of our clients. We always offer a friendly, listening ear and sympathetic attitude. We've worked with thousands of people all across the UK in all areas of personal legal services. We have received great feedback and reviews from our clients. We are located at Seven Sisters in Tottenham on the 4th floor of the Anna House, right on top of the Victoria Line train station for your utmost convenience. We have a friendly office and provide all of the refreshments necessary while you wait to see a lawyer. We are dedicated to our clients and have a successful record of serving our clients. Solicitors of England and Wales are of high quality and are bound by the highest professional standards. We are officers of the court and are bound by standards of integrity, competence and conduct as part of our responsibility to uphold rule of law. Our solicitors and lawyers care about your case and are committed to providing the best possible service to you in the most considerate and careful manner. We hold 2 Law Society quality marks. Law Society accreditation helps to demonstrate that we have attained the requisite standard in the area of law and have the requisite expertise. BWF Solicitors, we're here to help you with your legal services when you need us.
Yes,
Hi.
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, hello, Eunice. I just went for a short break. So, yeah.
Yes.
So, if you could please continue from where you left off, you were taking us through different processes.
Yes.
Yes, when
I was
applying for our
explaining.
children. Yes.
Yes, I was explaining where, for instance, you're making a British passport overseas application, and the fact that sometimes it may take longer than expected because usually people would assume that because I am British and I'm doing the passport application for this child, it
Mm,
should be very quick and swift. But they will always come back and they will ask for more documents to show probably that you were in the country at the time of the child's birth. They will
yeah.
come back to ask for more documentation. So, in whichever country that child was born in, if they have a child developmental book like we have here, which is the Red Book, or in Ghana they call it the Weighing Book, or whichever book it is, they would need something of that sort to obviously evidence the fact that at this time the child was born and the child's parent is listed within their records. And then they
Okay.
would need your some sort of travel itinerary or whatever to show that you were there. If you have proof of addresses that you can provide to show that you were there at the child's birth or during the time that the child was conceived, you can provide those evidences as well. What would have
Okay.
made it even easier is if the parents were married at the time. So obviously,
Oh, okay.
if the
Okay.
parents were married, you will just need to show that you were married at the time, and then it's not so much of a hoo-ha as to we want to see the weighing book, we want to see that you were physically present at the time the child was conceived or the child was born. Sometimes they even come to show to ask whether you have any photographs of you and this
Okay.
child.
Child.
um yes, and so they can come back to request a whole lot of documents as well, just to prove that you are the father or you are the mother of this child. And in such a scenario, the process can take longer than expected. Sometimes, for some, it can even take more than a year. So just bear that in mind if you are making an overseas passport application as well. And then for people who, for instance, are making an application to be registered, where the child was born before 2006, and they are now looking for the child to be registered as British. In that case, you are saying that yes, I know that I may not be automatically British, but my parents, maybe one of them is settled, maybe the other one has leave to remain. So whoever is the settled or British parents, documentation will be provided. So their British passport or their indefinite leave to remain will be provided, the child's birth certificate, anything of that sort to show that obviously the father is listed on there or the mother is listed on there as the child's parent. And then you also have to show that the child as well is living in the UK, if the child is living in the UK, or if the child was born outside of the UK, then you have to show obviously that they cannot be registered here because they live elsewhere. And then in that case, you are showing that maybe because the parents were not married, you are saying that the father lives in the UK, and you are going to show that the father, maybe his pay slip or his bank statement or any sort of proof of address to show that he's currently in the UK, and then any child's letter or school letter or any sort of proof of address for that child as well, wherever they are living. But what is necessary is that you have the birth certificate, you have the status of the parents as well, and that should help with the child's application to be registered as British if they were born before 2006 July. In a case where, for instance, you are saying that the child was adopted and that child is now applying to be British as well. So you are going to be writing a letter to the effect that obviously the child was adopted, under the Hague Convention. If it wasn't under the Hague Convention, whichever order that the country that the child is adopted from, you'll have to check if they were signatories to the Intercountry Adoption Order 2013 or the one before 2013. And obviously, if they were, then you'd be saying that because that country was a signatory, you would now like this child to be British because obviously you've adopted this child the right way and you now want to apply for a British passport for this child. So in that case, you would obviously show the British passports for the parents and the child's adoption order, because usually in an adoption case, there's no birth certificate. And then once you've included the adoption order as well, you would also include the passport application fee, which is usually, I think, £49 and a few pence. But yeah, we can check that again, but it's about £49 and a few pence for the child's application. And they should be able to assess that child's adoption and then grant that child British citizenship as well. Yeah.
You've given us the step-by-step process, the necessary documents that those who are going to apply for their children. Now we would need your contact details for them to call you, contact you to book an appointment and come and see you. So your contact details, and probably that will round up the show.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vicky. So I am one of the solicitors at BWS Solicitors, and we are situated in Seven Sisters, not too far from the main Seven Sisters tube station. Usually, if you're coming by tube, you will take exit 2, and exit 2 will lead you right up to our building, which is Anna House. So we're on the 4th floor of Anna House. And you would usually see a dentist signage or a dentist billboard at the main entrance, and it's 214 to 218 of the Tottenham High Road. So 214 to 218 of the Tottenham High Road, London. Our postcode is N15 4NP. So N15 4NP. And our office telephone number is 0208 493 7340. So I'll say that again. It's 0208 493 7340. Our office is open from Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 6 p.m. And then if you want to reach me outside of the office hours, my number is 075 35 813910. So 075 35 813910. So I would leave us here for this week, and hopefully next week you come join us again for another interesting topic.
Oh, wow. I think, Lawyer Eunice, next time you will be the host and I'll be your guest. You're doing a wonderful job.
I
We will
don't
just
dream
swap.
about being the host.
But also, it's going to be a bit difficult for me to also talk about, immigration and law. So it's going to be a problem. Anyway, on that note, the show is coming to an end. And I believe that, those who joined us have learned so much about it, have taken clues from it. And if you know of anybody who hasn't yet registered their child as British, you know where to go to. Lawyer Eunice Achampong, a solicitor and a partner at the award-winning law firm BWF Solicitors, a 4-floor and a house, 214 to 216 Seven Sisters, Tottenham, and the postcode is N15 4NP. Get in touch with Lawyer Eunice, and she'll book an appointment to see you. And I believe that within few months, if you are lucky, your child will now be a British citizen. So on that note, Lawyer Eunice, will definitely see you next week, Saturday, same time. And definitely we're going to bring you another interesting topic. Thank you so much for joining us. And as usual, my regards to Mr. Bernardo Wusu and the team at BWF Solicitors. And we also appreciate you for taking time off your busy schedules, joining us to educate us, impact us as well. We'll see you again next week. Thank you so much and stay blessed. Thank you.
At BWF Solicitors, we take pride in our client service. As a niche law practice, we are conscious of the demands of our clients. We always offer a friendly, listening ear and sympathetic attitude. We've worked with thousands of people all across the UK in all areas of personal legal services. We have received great feedback and reviews from our clients. We are located at Seven Sisters in Tottenham on the 4th floor of the Anna House, right on top of the Victoria Line train station for your utmost convenience. We have a friendly office and provide all other refreshments necessary while you wait to see a lawyer. We are dedicated to our clients and have a successful record of serving our clients. Solicitors of England and Wales are of high quality and are bound by the highest professional standards. We are officers of the court and are bound by standards of integrity, competence and conduct as part of our responsibility to uphold rule of law. Our solicitors and lawyers care about your case and are committed to providing the best possible service to you in the most considerate and careful manner. We hold 2 Law Society quality marks. Law Society accreditation helps to demonstrate that we have attained the requisite standard in the area of law and have the requisite expertise. BWF Solicitors, we're here to help you with your legal services when you need us.